Okay, so today's class is about staging and flipping. And why do we call it staging and flipping? Because when we help people sell their homes, we're basically helping them flip their houses into bigger profits. If you want to be an agent that does more than just puts a sign in the yard and puts the house up for sale, right? I can't tell you how impactful this particular service is. Of all the things that I teach and all the things that I do, I believe that this is the one most distinguishing thing that you do as an agent to separate yourself from all the other agents out there. And we've talked about how important that is, because if you can't separate yourself from your competition, then people don't know why they should choose you. And in this industry, we've gotten into this idea that people choose us for what reason? Why do people choose you? Why do your buyers and sellers choose you?
Because they get referred.
They get referred, okay? And why do people refer you?
Because I have a system and they like my system.
Okay, that's great. Not what I expected to hear, but that's great. Why do they choose you? You're a title officer.
Yeah.
Yeah, why do they choose you?
Because I offer the service that they need.
Because you offer the service they need, because you have a process, right, that really works. Why do they choose you?
Don't know.
Oh, love that answer. And I did not pay him to say that. Why do they choose you?
Because I do extra work for them that most agents don't.
You do extra work for them, okay. Do people know what that extra work is before they get that service from you? Okay, that's great. Why do they choose you?
Like and trust. Oh, sorry.
Like and trust? Good, yeah, sorry. Both of you, like and trust. She actually said it almost the same time you said it, so that worked out pretty good, okay? So the thing is do we all kind of feel the same way about the things that were said here? Does that really distinguish you from someone else? Does that make sense what I'm saying? And I'm not trying to say that critically. There's nothing wrong with feeling like, you get referrals because of your system and your process. Do people know what that is? Right? How do they know what that is? That you do extra things for them. Well, what exactly do you do for them, right? The thing is that when we buy and sell products in this country, or I should say when we buy products and services, we usually pick something for three distinctive reasons. Remember what those three reasons are? Price, quality, and convenience. Those are the three main reasons. You have to be the best at one and competitive at the other two. Do you remember that discussion we had before? Okay, so we already established that the reason they choose you in the class before, right, is that you offer something of great value in terms of your service, and then you try to be competitive in terms of what? What are the other two? Convenience and price, right? Now, how many of you want to be really competitive at those two? Nobody does, right? Because that means you work all the time and you make less money for it, right? Now, is there anything wrong with being the best at those other two? There's not. That's why we have competition that competes at a lower price. And we also have a lot of younger agents out there. There's not a ton of young agents here, but there's a few that convenience is really offered out there, right? Some of the teams that I work with, they hire a lot of really young agents in their 20s. And if the phone rings, what's their job? To answer it within 20 seconds. If they're on the flex team, they have to answer it within 20 seconds. They actually get judged against that. They won't get as many leads. Did you know that? With some of those lead sources? And then how soon does that person want them to go show them a house, for example? Like right now, I'm here now, let's go look at this house. Even with the market the way it is, they're not that patient. And we're kind of that way with technology. It kind of advances that. How many of you are mad like I was mad trying to drive here? But the fact that I can actually drive a car and, and get as far as, I live from this place at this time, if you think about what it was like 100 years ago or 50 years ago, right? How many of you yell at your microwave because it doesn't, cook fast enough, things like that? We do like convenience. We're very big on convenience. A lot of things are sold that way. How many fast food places do we pass by, when we drive around? So if you want to be the best at the quality of service that you offer, it needs to be so distinguishable, so noticeable, that they know then, okay, I'm choosing you because of those extra services, but I can say what those are, right? They should be able to say what those are, and it should come to the top of mind when they think about you compared to when they compare it to someone else. Does that make sense? So what are your services that you offer that's so distinguishable? How do they know? Well, when it comes to listings, and that's what we've been talking about, is that the way you market and advertise your listings is something that they see, right? If your houses look great, if your houses, and then the advertising of those properties are amazing, and they see the 3D tour, we've talked about that, and the drone footage or other things like that, does that not give a distinguishable, noticeable effort of service, that you're trying to do? That's the extra service that they have. A lot of times when we think about the extra service we offer, in terms of a real estate agent, what do we think about? What would you say is that special offer that you have as a real estate agent? What is it? Yeah, and a lot of agents don't know. And guess what? If we don't know, who else doesn't know?
Our clients.
Our clients don't know, right? And then we do say things that then makes it a little bit less, appealing. Like if I say that I have really great negotiating skills, right? I don't know what that means. Do you know what that means? I don't know how I would define that. Well, I hope you do, but I'm the buyer, so I'm going to tell you what I want to buy it for, and you can tell the other person that that's what I want to buy it for. I had one person even tell me once, I wish I could just talk to them directly. Do you think other clients feel that way? Because they think that what? You're not communicating what I want to them as best as I could communicate. How many people do you think your clients feel like they could communicate better than you do to the other side? Yeah. So, yes.
And sometimes that's not us communicating, it's the agent on the other side that's not communicating with you, that's making you look bad to your client.
Yeah, that's exactly true. We know that. But as far as our client goes, that's just the minutia of what it means to talk back and forth. And sometimes they feel like you guys are just getting in the way. Agents just get in the way. I just want to talk to that person directly. When I've double-sided before, and I'm not saying you should, but I do it all the time because especially the way the market is now with the NAR ruling. But I've actually taken both parties and gotten them together at a table, and I've talked with them while they're both there about what they want to do. And you know what happened? It worked out really well, right? Sometimes we guard against that. Oh yeah, you can't talk to them, it's not allowed, and that kind of stuff. But you got to think about what you do, not in the context of what you think is important, but what they think is important. You're consumers. You know what it's like to buy and sell properties. How many of you feel like the car dealer guy gets in the way of you just wanting to look at the dang car and buy a car instead of having to go through that whole ordeal? How long does it take to buy a car at a dealership? Anybody done that? It's a full day thing. And they make the process, but they think what they're doing is the right way to do it. It drives me nuts that they have to keep walking in the back to go talk to their manager to, for every little thing that you're negotiating. Like, just get the guy over here and let's talk, right? Can you just tell him to come over here? I can see him through the window right over there. And you just keep going back in there and talking to him like that's some sort of, to me it sounds like a conspiracy. It doesn't feel like you're actually trying to help me. Anybody ever feel that way? Yes. Well, if you feel that way about the car, what do you think when it comes to real estate? Right? And so when technology comes along and it starts to say, just go on Zillow and find the house that you want, you'll see all the prices there. You don't have to worry about an agent that says, I have a guarded secret. I love it here in Utah we do that because we're, what do we call our state? Non-disclosure. Oh, don't worry, nobody else has the numbers that I have, the data that I have on these homes. So when I tell you this house is worth this much, you better believe me because you don't even know what your house is worth. We don't say it that way, obviously, but it comes across sometimes that way because we feel like that's the thing that separates us from the FSBO offering or the discount offering, right? We do a lot more. What do you do that's extra service? I'm going to put you on the spot because you said, what's the extra service?
I literally actually helped people pack. I've done landscaping for them because like an older lady in my neighborhood,
yeah.
She couldn't work on the house. So trying to get that curb appeal for her to be able to list the house
yeah.
like that I've done.
Okay, so that is great that you offer that service, and that's a nice thing to do. But I'll tell you, if you're going to do a lot of volume, right, and if you're a professional that people respect, it's like, let's say you went and hired a lawyer, and it's a $600 an hour lawyer that's a really good lawyer, right? Now, if that lawyer needs to investigate the case, what's he or she most likely going to do? Hire someone to do it. Now, is he going to pay for that? The lawyer? No, he's going to add that to your bill. Like, right? So how many of you, if you decided that your client needs their house cleaned or their lawn mowed or something done?
Hire that out now.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, but I'm saying, but a lot of agents don't. Yeah. I remember when I first talked about staging and flipping in one class, one agent got the idea, and she still runs with it, where she pays for their staging. I never pay for someone else's staging. That's your bit. I'm the one that's going to come in here to let you know what you should do if you want to get the most money for your home. Does that make sense? So I guess what I want to teach you today with this staging and flipping class is that this is a very noticeable, tangible service that you can offer. We give it a name. We call it, I even tell my clients, I have a staging and flipping service. And whenever I tell them about my services, I pause and I emphasize what that means. I have a staging and flipping service that I offer to my clients. And they give me that look like, what do you mean? You know, like what is that? And I said, well, don't you want to make the most money for your home? Yeah, of course I do. I'm going to help you flip your home into bigger profits. I am better at helping you get more money for your home. It's a distinguishable offering. And I flip a lot of homes myself, or I've done it many throughout the years. I'm flipping one right now. I use that experience to help them flip their home. What do they want from me as an agent? What's a distinguishable offering that I can give them in terms of an end goal? More money for their home, and the house sells sooner. I mean, just to give you an example of how well it works, Jeff and I got a lead that came in from UpNest. We do get lead sources because we want more business, right? But we close more of those because we go in there with our $20,000 listing presentation and we wow people with very distinguishable offerings. They can see what we offer. That's why I'm kind of emphasizing this. If you can't go into a presentation and go beyond just the base expectations. I'm a nice person. I offer extra services if you need it, like picking up your house or whatever that may be. When I go in there, I let them know that here's the 5 things we do to help you make the most money for your home and help it sell quickly, right? Or just in time so we can do that transition. Here's the things that I do, and they all have a name, right? And then I show it to them. And then they see it, and then I make it as tangible as I can. I give them a pair of Oculus goggles, and I show them what the 3D tour looks like and how they can take the furniture in and out, right? Remember we did that? It's so inspiring to them. Wow. And I can't tell you how many of our clients have told us, I've never seen this before. No one's ever showed me something like this before. So it really stands out. So we got that lead from our client. They were a retired couple, and so they want to move to St. George. And they had a nice house, they still do. It's going to close in a couple weeks, I think, is what we've got. And they had everything that they've ever collected for 30 years in that house. Have you ever seen homes like that before? Yeah, like literally, they must have, I think they had 6 trucks altogether, they had a huge trailer that it either went to DI, went to 3 different storage units. They filled 3 storage units, which I even tell my clients, unless you're going to take that with you, you're just going to pay a whole bunch of money for stuff that's just going to sit there for a while, right? And then maybe your kids take care of it after you pass away. And I'm really blunt with them when it comes to that because that's what they want from me as a professional. I can give them really good advice. But the reason I'm telling you the story isn't just because of that, because we're going to get into that clutterness that the cluttered homes that everybody seems to have, is that their house we were going to put up for sale, the house kitty corner to it, they put up their house for sale a week before ours. And then the house across the street, so it was kind of neat. Our client went and talked to the lady across the street because she knew that they might want to sell, and they want to sell too, but they've already been looking for a home with another agent. And when I went and talked to her, she's like, yeah, I already have another agent, which is fine, didn't want to impose, but hadn't signed with the agent, at least on the listing side yet, okay? So I know I'm telling you a story, so this is what ends up happening. A week before our house goes up for sale, this house goes up for sale. In terms of the 2 homes, I mean, they're literally kitty corner to each other, right? On the same street, same design, same year built, everything. The actual house is the same size. Is that a good comparable? Oh, yeah. Can't be any better than that. Now, I will say that our house over here, they had a 1,200-foot workshop. That brings a lot of value, but do appraisers and home buyers put a lot of value into a non-livable space? Not as much. Guess how much these people thought that extra space was worth? $100,000. They wanted to sell their house for $100,000 more than the market value. That's a hard predicament to get into, right? Because what am I supposed to say to them? I'm your agent, I'm trying to help you, and there's no way that thing is going to sell for $100,000 more. So we get into those predicaments a lot, right? So then I go across the street and talk to this lady that's here, right? Her name is Sarah, and I go and talk to her, and we have a good conversation. She walks me through the house. The house was built in 1990. When was the house built? Was it 99, Jeff, or 95? Somewhere 90. Okay, 1990. Okay. So nice brick home and everything, but what does a 1990s house look like unless they do a lot of updates? It's outdated. Her house had kind of, and this is what it's kind of, when you see a lot of these homes, it's partially updated. You've ever seen that? Oh, we did the kitchen this one year, and then we did this other room this other year, and it's almost like you can see the years of styles, throughout the different spaces. So, but it was still a nice home, okay? Is this story all right? We go through all this? Okay. So, the comps basically said that the house would be worth about $580,000. Okay, and this is a norm. So we're like, okay, how much over 580 could we sell this house for? Now, the lady across the street, their house is bigger. It's a 2-story. This was a Rambler with a daylight basement, okay? So she wants to sell her house close to $600,000. And I thought, okay, that's pretty good. But again, I thought it was a little bit high, right? And then the house right next to us, we're more realistic. They put their house up for sale for was it 555 or 565, Jeff? Do you remember? The one on the corner?
556.
556, okay. Interesting number. 556 is what they put the house up for sale. What should I sell this house for? I mean, what would you all think? 600? 580. Yeah, that's what I was really hoping for. And sometimes you run into this. We did the presentation, showed them all the stuff. They decided to hire us. 5 other agents came and did their presentation. Why did they choose us? I'm telling you, it's the $20,000 listing presentation. You go in there with that, you will get just about every deal. You'll have to turn some down. I was tempted to say, I don't know if we can help you, because guess what they wanted to sell their house for? $700,000. That's what they wanted to sell their house for, $700,000. So we go back with that big packet, the listing report. Remember the listing report? Go back with that listing report, and I showed them all the comps. I gave them the digital CMA that I showed you before. If you haven't seen it, you got to see this digital CMA. It's awesome because they can click on the pictures and go through it and see what everybody else has. They even toured the other 2 homes. Of course, when they toured the other 2 homes, guess what they came back to say? Ours is so much better. That shop in the backyard, that big, all that kind of stuff. It's like, oh, shoot, that didn't work. Okay, so here I am. We're stuck. We spent 2 weeks, and then Jeff and I did this. We actually went over there one day because it's an older couple, and they had some family to come and help. We actually spent 2 or 3 hours on a Saturday helping them move furniture around. And I had another client that just bought a townhome in Saratoga Springs that didn't have any furniture. It was their first property, right? So it was kind of cool. We're swapping furniture, and I'm helping one client help another, so it was kind of a cool thing. So we came and brought my trailer, picked up a couch and a bunch of stuff to take over to their house. So it kind of worked out kind of nice. So, she's not here, but yeah, we do some things for free to be nice. There's nothing wrong with that. So anyway, I'm telling this story. This story is getting really the climax here, right? Getting really exciting. So what do you think I did? They had an open house at the one on the corner for 565, 56, whatever the number is. Some number that was like that. And she had 4 parties come to that open house, which isn't bad, right? 2 days after their open house, we put ours up for sale. You want to hear the number? It sucked. $695,000. 609, and my whole body was just saying, no, there's no way that we're going to get that. But I'll tell you what, the house looked amazing. We did switch out a couple of lights. I asked them to do a couple of other things to update it, but they just didn't want to put the money into it. But when we cleared out that entire house, we cleared the whole thing out, and then we staged it. And I can't tell you how much of an ROI you get from staging in terms of helping people. If you do not stage your homes, you're absolutely nuts. You're crazy. I tell everybody that. You have to stage the house at the very least. And I convinced them, even though they didn't want to do it. Their kids told them, don't stage the house. It's a waste of money. But who's the pro? So I had to convince them of that. And luckily, when I came and did my presentation and I showed them pictures, I had to give them something to see, not just to tell, but to see, right? So they said, okay, we're going to do the staging. Who pays for the staging? They do. I do not pay for the staging. I give advice. Right? That's my professional service that I offer, and they pay for that. So we staged the house. We put it up for sale for $695,000. We got a not a full price, but we got a cash offer 2 days later. No, was it one day? The next day? 2 days? The next day. Nothing's been offered on this other house for 556 or whatever it was due for. Now, what they offered was only 570 or 565. Oh, sorry, 665. Sorry, excuse me, 665, which is $35,000 less than that. But the fact that someone made the offer was great. But I will tell you, and this is what I'm going to show you next week, is the way we advertised it. We didn't just put it up on the MLS. We spent $900 on all of the media that we created. I know that sounds crazy, $900. And then on top of that, we spent $300 on the advertisements. We had a ton of people that came unrepresented. So this one that offered the cash offer was unrepresented. Okay, what does that mean for us? Yeah. Then, guess what my client said about that offer? It's not enough. It's not enough. So they wanted 15,000 more. So we countered at 15,000 more. And guess what the buyers decided to do? Walk. They left. They didn't buy the neighbor's house because this house was better. No, I'm just kidding. Well, the big shop there, right? And we did advertise the shop a lot. That's another thing we can do on social media to really emphasize that shop, right? Now, Manny even asked about it. He's like, oh, you're going to have an open house for that? That's the Orem house I was showing before, right? And he's like, you're going to, and I was like, no, Manny, don't come, because we didn't advertise for the open house. We were like, we don't want Manny to show up and think, this is what you coach, this is what you teach. So I was like, let's not do it. But the owners, because the others dropped out, we thought we had it. I mean, we thought we had gone through everything because we were representing them and knew the whole story, but they dropped out. So the the owners gave me a hard time because we weren't having an open house and I hadn't advertised. And I was stupid enough to admit I hadn't advertised for the open house. And they're like, they're kind of frustrated. So they wanted us to have the open house. So we did the open house anyway. And I put out a quick ad, and I'll show you how to do this next week, but did a quick ad. We only had a few parties stop by. Usually we have 15, 30, 40, 50 people come to our open houses when we advertise it the way I'll show you next week, in the next 2 weeks. Anyway, all of them unrepresented. Buyer comes in. We're under contract right now for $680,000 on that house, and it's going through. Everything's good, and we're also getting both sides of that. Okay.
Financing, or is it another cash offer?
No, it's not. They did need financing for that, but So I talked to to their lender, and they'd been. They're putting $130,000 down. They're very solid. So I made sure all those things happened. But anyway, I know that was a really long story. Man, I took way too much time on that. But the thing that I'm trying to tell you about what I'm going to teach you today is that if you want to be an agent that showcases value and even delivers on it, even in the most crazy, surprising way, like the house was overpriced. They got $680,000 for their house. And we really promoted that shop out there. And luckily, the person buying it, they want to turn it into an ADU, they decided, right? So that was their vision of doing that. And Jeff happened to be there because I had to leave a little bit early because it was at that open house that wasn't really an open house. And he started, talking with them about what they could do. They were unrepresented buyers that came in. And of course, we followed all the, protocols and, addendums and all the appropriate legal things. And they're super excited. Our owners, our clients are super excited. And I'll tell you, when you go above and beyond, like you're saying, those extra services, that's what people notice. And that's why they refer you. I have so many stories I could tell you about this happening, but I always like to use the most recent one. This happened 3 days ago. It happens even in this market. And in this market, the way things are, someone paid. So here, this house is for $556. I keep getting it now because it's such a weird number. $560. Okay, $560. They still don't have an offer on their house. Still, up to this point. We have an offer for $680,000. That's over $100,000 difference between the two homes. But they did a little bit of staging. They did like the whole downstairs is completely empty. Upstairs, they staged one room. Our whole house is staged. And the way we advertised it with the drone and everything else, and we emphasized the shop and all that kind of stuff, makes a difference. When people buy homes, they think of what? What do they think of when they buy homes? Honestly, if you get down to it. We want to live in what? We all want to live in beautiful homes. Your ability to make homes beautiful is actually what will separate you from all the other agents out there. So let's go through this and see how this works. Now, look at this house right here. Now, this is an extreme example, but imagine that this house is for sale in a neighborhood where the median value for a property of this size, because that's what comps are. What do comps really tell you? What the other homes can, in what way? Sold for. It should be sold for, but it could be pending and active too, right? But what does it really say about that home when you do a comparable? Square footage, location, number of bedrooms. You know, it doesn't even go into style that much unless you adjust it. I mean, comparables, you can adjust that. So is that what you're talking about in terms of style? Yes, you can do that. But does the standard comparable really think about that so much? Not really. It really looks at what? Square footage, number of bedrooms, location, stuff like that. It assumes a lot of things when it comes to its location. So if this house was worth $425,000 median price, does that make sense? I hope you all know that every house has a low, mid, and high value range, right? You all know that? How come we don't talk that way then? How come all of us go in with a number? How many of you go in with a number? Anybody do that? Good, I'm glad you don't. Because it is always a range. And I always tell people it's a range. Just like in that listening report I showed you, it's the range that I show them, okay? So let's look at this one. If this house in this neighborhood of this size, the median price point is $425,000, what would you say people would pay for that house? Say it, say it.
On the inside, $375.
But just looking on the outside, yeah, 350, 375, any other number? 385. Okay, good, right? So now if you look at this property right here, let's say this is in the same neighborhood, about the same size, all those comparables, what would it sell for? 450 is the median price point.
Oh, I thought you said 425 was.
Oh, did I say 425? Oh, it is 425. Sorry, thank you. Yeah. Yes. 500 maybe, right? Does that look a little bit better? It's a huge difference, but it's the same neighborhood, the same kind of property. Now this again is an extreme example. If we took the lowest number, which someone said 350, I think it was, right? So 350, and if we took the highest number that someone said, which was what, 450? 500. What's the difference between those two numbers? $150,000. Is that good money? Yeah. That's really good money. What does it cost in order to make that happen? Not as much as you might think. Right? Now, I'm not suggesting, and we'll go through this, that you should go out there and start telling people to do these full big remodels on homes. Please don't get that idea. We'll go through the 4 basic things every house needs before it goes on the market. 4 basic things. It starts with curb appeal. Curb appeal is number 1 on the list. Okay? Those are the same home, by the way. Okay? Now, curb appeal is about, at least on the outside, power washing. If you need to, at the worst, you can paint exterior. We live in a dry climate here in Utah. And how often do people paint their homes out here? Not very often. They don't. It's not like on the coast and things like that where they do it more often. The East Coast, you almost have to paint your house every year if you're up along the water or something like that, right? So, but out here, you could have a house that's 50 years old and it's never once been painted, right? Now, even homes that are newer, do they look dingy? What causes that to happen out here? We call it the inversion. Yeah, it's the what? Construction. Yeah, all those type of things. Yeah, yeah. Would you want to get, if you want to get the most money for your car, what's one of the first things you would do for it if you're going to sell your car? You'd wash it. You get it detailed and wash it. You know how many people put their homes on the market and they don't even wash their home? Power washing a house costs about $500 to $700. You know, even I'm talking about a big home. Smaller homes could be less. First thing I always recommend, or one of the things I always recommend, power wash your house. Have you ever noticed with the inversion, you have almost this line that goes around the house under the eave of the grime where it starts. And it makes a huge difference when you do that. So power washing your house. Trimming trees and bushes. People look at homes like they look at their dating apps. Anybody use dating apps anymore? So they go through the dating apps, and what's the first thing you look at? Their personality? What are you looking at? Yeah, on the outside, exactly. Their pictures, right? And if it doesn't look appealing, you're like, it doesn't matter what their person. No, I'm just kidding. But you know what I'm saying? Curb appeal, exactly, of the person. And you think about, if you think about your hair, you know, my hair's kind of messy right now, so it's not a good example. But in trimming and stuff like that, you know, having that nice appearance makes a big difference when people are flipping through pictures. Do you think when people go online, they're flipping through pictures when they look at homes? Yeah. And what's the first thing they see? The outside of the house. So curb appeal is number one. So giving recommendations, if they want to flip their home into bigger profits, let's get your house power washed. If it's a condo or townhome, did you know that most HOAs offer that as a service and you can just ask for it for free? Did you know that? Most condos and townhomes, part of the HOA service is that they will power wash, especially the condos. They will power wash the entryway and they'll power wash the whole area. You have to go and ask for it, or the owner has to go ask for it. So we do that all the time. Yeah. Have you ever gone up, into the stairs of an apartment complex or a condo complex and it's all dingy and dirty and, there's cobwebs and stuff all over the place? Does that make people excited to want to live there? It doesn't. So you wash it off. If they won't do it, then you can do it, right? I've done that before. Yeah. So, trimming trees and bushes, clearing out debris, adding mulch and fresh plants, mowing and trimming the yard. So I have these strategic partners. I call them strategic partners because every listing that I have certain partners that come in and do work so they don't have to figure it out. I don't just tell my client, you should power wash your house. They're like, okay, I've never done that before. And then they want to do it, which don't let them do most of the work because they won't do it very well. So I just let them know when I give them my listing report and I give them these suggestions. Here's how much it costs. I give them an itemized list. I'll show you that later so you can see it again. But I basically tell them, or not tell them, but share with them what I think could be done and what that range would be for them in terms of the value of their house if they follow my suggestions. Because who's the professional that gives them the advice to get them the most money for their home? I am. And that's what I do as a tangible, evident value of service, right? So I have a power washer, and if they're going to wash the outside of the house, what else do they wash? The windows, right? How many of you have gone into homes and it's not even, especially even with pictures, right? The pictures don't look great because the windows are all kind of dingy, right? So they power wash the exterior and and clean the windows, trim the trees and bushes. I mean, with this house, you can see what we did here just by taking out a lot of the growth that's not needed. Opens up the house, and the focus should be on the house, not the tree. I respect a lot of builders, but the one thing I do not respect about builders, because they build homes great, they suck at landscape. You've ever noticed that? Most builders out there, let's take a tree and put it right smack dab in the middle of the front yard. Like, who's going to sit in the middle of the front yard for shade? Or whatever. And then when that tree grows up a little bit, what's it doing? It's sitting right there in front of the house. You know how many trees we've taken out or cut down in front of homes? Because there's no purpose for them right there. So hiding your house behind trees, even though it's nice to have trees, as here in Utah, it's a drier climate, we want to have trees, but unless it's a big matured tree and it makes sense, we got to trim them, we got to sometimes take them out, but those are the kind of the recommendations that we might give them. I love trees, by the way. Don't get the impression that I'm trying to say cut down a bunch of trees. I'm just saying that landscape matters, okay? So I have a landscape company that does all this for me. So I just hire a company to come in, and it's called a spring or fall cleanup. Have you ever heard of that before? Okay, so that's what I ask them to do. In the winter time, it doesn't work so much, but they can still do a lot of trimming in the winter time. How many of you have seen those dead bushes and trees? Well, they're dead because of winter, but they're just like they haven't been pruned or trimmed in 25 years. They're just all over the place. Those are the easiest to trim and clean up a little bit. So I have a company that comes in, and I usually tell them spring, fall cleanup, they know what to do. And they'll even take, not only pull all the weeds and kind of clear things up, they'll put fresh new mulch in. And then they'll put pops of color if it's in the right time of year in terms of planting. And they'll do all that for me so I don't have to tell the client to do it. Clients won't do a great job. They want to save money, but this is what I tell them. What I recommend that you do is going to get you a return on investment that's going to be about 300% or more in that return. And I'll even tell them, I like to use this phrase, I'll say, if you could put $1,000 in a machine and it spits out $5,000, how often would you do that? Like all day long. So that's what I tell them I'm doing. I'm helping you do the most basic things that's going to get you the most money for your home. If it's not something that's going to give you a high return on investment, I won't recommend it. But what I don't recommend is while you're trying to clear everything out and get everything ready, that you're also trying to do all these other projects around your house. You want to get it up on the market in 2 weeks? We can do that. I've got all the people to do it. You know how much they appreciate it? One of the most popular HGTV shows that was out there before, but they're still super, super popular. Which you have Chip and Joanna Gaines was one of them, and do you know who the other one was? The Property Brothers. Do you remember those guys? Do you still watch them? what was that one show that they did for people that was so popular? Do you remember what that was? Where they would go in as brothers and they would help them get their house ready to sell as they go out to buy another house and maximize the amount of money that they got. We got that idea from that show. Do you think our clients are watching shows like that? They are. So when you go in as a real estate agent with this kind of offering, do you think Chip and Joanna Gaines of the Property Brothers have any trouble getting business? I know they're on TV, but even just in that sense of what they offer, it's so tangible and evident of what they do as an extra service that it separates them from everybody else. And that's what I want you to do. I want you to not think of yourself as a transactional coordinator anymore. How many of you feel that way? Glorified door opener, sign poster. I just want to get out there and do the next transaction. That's why I call it a transaction coordinator, even though you don't want to say that that's what you do. But most agents don't do anything more really than transactional stuff. Even the stuff we say is so great, yeah, I'll help you get through the transaction, right? So if you want to be above and beyond that as a professional, this is the kind of support that you can offer. As a real estate agent, this is from a broker, I found that most homeowners are more excited about touring a home that looks inviting on the outside than one that's sad and dreary unless they're focused on buying a fixer-upper. Is that not true? So what should your number one job be if you're a good listing agent? Get people excited about their homes, starting number one with Curb Appeal. So I have a lawn care service that not only takes care of trimming and edging and mowing the lawn, they also fertilize it for me if needed. And I have them start 2 weeks ahead of time. By the way, just so you know, my goal is never to list a house sooner than 2 weeks from when I get that listing. I never want to do it sooner than that. Why not? I need to help get it ready. How long have they been thinking about selling that house? A year. So, and they're going to give me 3 days to get that house up on the market? That sounds crazy. How many of you felt like that's what your clients expected from you? And you know why they expect it from you? Well, it's not that they see that just on TV, but that could be part of it. But they know that it takes time. They didn't realize you did anything more than that. That's what an agent does, right? You put a sign in the yard and you put it up on the MLS and some other agent brings a buyer and then I pay you $30,000 for that. And that's why they think you make too much money. But if I go into the presentation and I say, I'm going to help you get this house ready to sell so you make more money and it sells exactly when you need it to sell. Because isn't the timing of the sale more important than the quickness? It's quick because they had already done all the things that they really should have used your help to get ready for, but they didn't. Does that make sense? So what you're doing when you do this is you're teaching your clients, because they're going to be repeat and referral business. Because when you do something different and better and unique, why would they ever go anywhere else? Isn't that why you repeat business with places that you go to? Right? Because it's different. If all it was is about substance when it comes to food, you just eat anywhere. But you know what you like and what you don't like. So you repeat. How many of you go to a lot of the same places when you go out to eat? Why do you do that? And buy even sometimes the same dish. There's one restaurant I go to, I get the same dish every time I go to that restaurant. I'm sure there's other dishes that are good there, but the one dish that I like, it's like, why would I bother taking a risk? I'm going to go with what I know and what I love, right? And that's how they feel about all the kind of services that we have. So be that kind of agent. So I have this landscape company that comes in and I pay them. It can cost me anywhere from about $300 to over $1,000. We had a house recently that we helped sell. I told you about it. The one that sold for $829,000. Most any house in that whole area has sold for up to this point. I have another one for sale. It's going to beat it. That's my goal. I love doing that because when I do that, what happens? I get more business. I get a better reputation. I am a professional that does it. I have neighbors that stop by now in this neighborhood where we're at asking what we're doing and how we're doing it, how much this costs. They're so intrigued because they're seeing a transformation that I'm helping to create. Yes?
What do you say to the clients that just refuse to put any money into it?
I have other agents that I would love to refer you to. I do. I've said that before, right? Because the thing is, and I don't always do that, like this one family, this couple that wanted to do it for $695, I still felt like, well, what we did, what we can get this house ready for, let's see what happens. I did let them know it might take a while to sell, and they were fine with that, and we might have to bring down the price. But in a lot of cases, I say no to people. Have you ever done that before? Anybody here said no to someone? Good. Do you do it as often as you know you should? Probably not. I don't either. But the idea is that you help people understand what you do that's different than than your competition. And then if they don't appreciate that, what should you do? Yeah, it's all right. And I still get a referral fee. And sometimes when it's a difficult client or someone that's refusing to do that, I would much rather take the 20% referral fee than put up with, those things that could happen. Sorry, I hope I don't make anybody upset by saying that. I want you to help everybody that you can, but sometimes it doesn't fit within your model. And is that all right? Does Walmart care that they don't have someone there to help every person that walks into their store? Why not? What do they care about? The lowest price. That's their brand. Have you ever heard of brand identity, right? Now, does Nordstrom's care if someone walks in and complains that there's no one there to help them? They do. Why do they care? Because that's their brand. What's your brand? What's your brand? A lot of agents are, what's your brand? It's almost like you might as well have, your mascot should be a chameleon. I know that sounds awful, doesn't it? I will take what I can from whom I can and do whatever I can to get whatever they'll give me. Anybody ever feel like that? Because we're kind of in that business, and we even get told, oh, you don't have a fixed commission rate. You should, work with those people. Well, what does that tell your clients? You don't have a price. We just negotiate whatever we can get from you. And if price is important to them, I want everything you say and you offer, but now I want you to do it for 1%. Have you ever had anybody ask you to do that? How often? Good, I'm glad, because if they don't do it often, they know you and respect you for what you have to offer, but they have to see it. If what you offer and what you offer and what you offer seems to be the same, like when you gave me those descriptions of what you offer, it's not very definitive, then what are they going to default to usually? Price, wouldn't you? If you could get two products or services, right, that are very similar to you, at least you can't really tell the difference, and one is offering it for a lot less money, who are you going to go with? The one offering it for less money. But if someone shows you and demonstrates and you experience a much better offering, whether it's a product or a service, and you can see it and it has a name to it, are you willing to pay for it? How many of you pay a little bit more for a haircut or clothes or food or all those things if you really believe that you're getting better quality of service or product? So if you want your value proposition to be the quality of your service, if you can't demonstrate it distinctively, then why would they choose you? And most agents, in their mind, they're better quality of service than all the other agents around them, and especially all the discount services. But our clients can't tell the difference. This they can. Okay, so with my people, because I got to make sure I'm efficient with this, I have contractors that come in and do it. And they take care of all the trimming. They know what they need to do to make it look better. Now, this is more of an extreme. This is more like a flip. Of course, you're not going to probably put a paver, walkway in and all the things that you saw done here. But just so you know, this house, if someone were to look at it, what they're thinking is, how much is it going to cost me? You're going to get the fixer-uppers that want to buy this property. They're going to lowball it like crazy. Whereas this house right here, right, $150,000 difference, and it might even get multiple offers, and it gets even bumped up more, because people always get excited about what in terms of purchasing a house? Living in a beautiful home. We all want to live in a beautiful home. I'll even give you a secret, because I do a lot of rentals. Guess what I do with all my rental properties? I stage them all. They all have drone. They all have Matterport. They all have advertising, just like I was going to sell it. I have a house in Florida, or we had one. We sold it last year. But we had a property in Florida. It's a townhome right next to another townhome. Did I tell you this before? Okay, so I have they're identical in terms of layout. This one they rent, because we talked to the neighbors, for $2,400 a month. It's a nice townhome. Of course, when they advertise it and everything, it's empty. And it's about a 15-year-old townhomes. It's still nice, but, it's just in Jupiter, Florida, a beautiful area of Jupiter, Florida. About 5 minutes from the beach. Our house is right next to it. Plastered next to it, because it's a townhome. We staged it. My wife and I love to do staging, and I got my art degree, didn't know what to do with it, so I became a realtor. And so we staged the house, and we made it look really nice. And out there in Jupiter, Florida, there's all these rich people that just keep changing their designs out. So we got the furniture so it didn't cost us that much to furnish the whole place. Guess how much we rent our place for? Any idea? $5,400 a month. And we rented it just like that. And we get people that come in. We even had one that rented it for an entire year and prepaid the entire year, because there was a company out of Georgia that wanted to have their people that were coming down to this area of Jupiter to do a project to stay in it. They probably stayed in it once every other month or so for a couple of days, right? But why did they pick our home? because it was beautiful and it was staged. And when the people saw it, they're like, oh yeah, I want to live there. If you can give people a reason to want to live somewhere, guess what they're going to do? They're going to buy it. They're going to pay for it. Okay? So curb appeal is number one.
My question,
Yeah.
you say you have your people go in, there's a cost associated with it.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about the logistics of, do they wait for settlement to be paid? Are you paying them and putting it as a reimbursement? Are your clients paying the service provider directly?
Okay, that's a good question. Okay, so if you didn't hear, and I'll repeat it because I've got the microphone on, how does this get paid for? If they say they can't pay for it, when I have people tell me they don't want to pay for it or they can't pay for it, what are they really saying to me, I think? They're not convinced. It's not that they don't have money. It's not.
Well, that too.
They're not convinced. How many of our clients have credit cards? They can pay for it if they feel like there's an ROI to it. So I have to show them pictures and give them evidence of that. So no, I don't ever say, oh, you can pay me back and I'll pay it. I never do that. So I don't put it that way. Now, there's been one time that I actually contracted with someone because they wanted to do some other stuff and they didn't have the money to do some things that I thought would be really good for them. It worked out really good. I charged them 5% on my side and they signed for 5%, right? And I just had my contractors come in and do some, it wasn't big
that changes. It was just mostly cosmetic outside, stuff. So I did that. So that's what I've done for. But for the most part, if they don't want to pay it, it's not because they don't have the money, honestly. It's mainly because they aren't convinced. Because like I said, if you could put $1,000 in the machine and spit out $5,000, would you find that $1,000 someone? Absolutely. Yeah. You had a question?
Just when you said that you would charge 5%,
I haven't signed 5% on
they're
my
not paying for it, but they're like,
yeah, in this case, I did it one time where I paid for that. It was some yard work and the power washing. And I think it cost me like $800 or something like that.
so, yeah. And then you'll cycle through yourself.
Yeah. And so the other answer to your question, and I will be very careful to say this, so please talk to your broker before you do this and do it right. A lot of these ideas I did get from HGTV 20 years ago when it was really popular. It was because my wife and my mother-in-law who was with us, which I love, by the way, they're awesome. They watched HGTV all the time. I pretended I wasn't interested, but I was always working. And I would. It was crazy how with Chip and Joanna Gaines, they literally walk into homes and people are crying. Have you ever noticed that? They're literally having this emotional moment because of this beautiful home that at first wasn't so beautiful. It was crazy to see it. And I'd see the Property Brothers and they're going in and helping people fix up homes. And I was like, that's what I want to do. And not that I want to be on HGTV, but I was like, that's what I love about property and making things look amazing. So I decided, to do that. So I actually formed my own LLC company. So all my contractors, I have all these great contractors. Guess what I do with my clients? I don't say go out and call these contractors because my job is to make sure it gets done and gets done right and everything's timed. So you know what I do? I tell them in my listing report how much it's going to cost. And I know if I need to get someone in there, they'll come in. Like right now, I have a contractor going into one house because they're going to redo the tile in the front entry, redo the tile around the fireplace, redo 2 bathrooms, and paint the whole downstairs whole downstairs area and put in new carpet. Altogether, it's going to probably cost about $15,000 to $20,000. Are they willing to do it? They've had the house for 20 years. Guess how much equity they have in the house? $600,000. And I'm convincing them to pay how much? $20,000. So they can get probably $80,000 to $100,000 more. Is it worth it? I do this all the time. So guess what I do? I have an LLC. They pay me. My LLC, that is not me as a real estate agent pay. And I have about a 30% margin on top of what it actually costs. So I'm making money off of that too. Now, not because I'm just a money grabber trying to make money, but and this is what I learned, like with the Property Brothers and others do it. They need my help to do what? Get it done. And I guess what else we did? We picked the colors. We picked the finishes. If the client's going to do all that, you know how many clients are not pick colors? They do not know how to pick colors or any of that. So when I go in and talk to them, and I do it with a lot of confidence because I've done this. I'm not saying that you might feel comfortable doing this right away, but I'll tell you what, if you want a business development goal as a real estate agent, learn how to stage, learn how to do these 4 things. That's why this class is so important. You can do these 4 things professionally and you can explain it and get them excited about it. You will sell more homes, you'll sell faster, and you'll sell them for more money. And what's the best thing you can do as a real estate agent? those true things. Yes.
Sure. Sounds like you might have tell. Not up with this. You have a.
I love the fact that she said that because I will tell you what, I don't believe that any of you don't have that talent to some degree, please. Now, I know you have some apprehension, mate. Then yes, bring in a designer. Guess who the best person is to strategically work with in order to do this? Best person, your stager. If you don't have a stager that's a really good strategic partner, my stager, if you call her up and say, I want you to come in and give me, an assessment, what we should do, she'll charge everybody else. Because I sent her to other people and like, hey, she charged me. She never charges me. Why doesn't she charge me? She asked me. No. Because I give her so much business and she's happy to do that. And I even send her business, but she charges everybody else. So you can do that. But here's what I will say to you. How many of you walked through over 100 homes? Yeah. And as you walk through all those homes, how many of you walked in the home and immediately thought they should have done this, and this, they did this house right? Right? How did you do that? You've seen a million up because you now had developed an eye for it. Don't think that you have to have a natural tendency or a talent for construction or for design or for color. You'll find that there's so much objection to that, right? It's not as subjective, I guess, as you think, but you know what looks good and what doesn't. You know what basically most houses have too much stuff. We'll talk about it. I didn't every one of you, if you thought about it, have walked into a home and thought in your mind about actually putting it into works. She would have done this, and this to get this hit through. Okay. Plus, when I teach you, will help.
So, how's that answer your question? Yeah, it's like you kind of follow up to that. The girl buying home while you're trying to sell it. I
do it all the time. My stagers, I had 2 stagers that will stage home while people live there. As a matter of fact, the house that we're staging, Ability Stage, that was staged with the stagers furniture and theirs. We do a hybrid, and we'll talk about that as we go through it. They even have the dog that sheds. Believe it or not. But I've given this stager so much business, she works with me on those 2. Now, usually they don't like the dogs, but I have in the last 7 homes that I've sold in the last 2 months, 2 of them had dogs and all but 1 solo bear. So, yes. Your prizes. I'm glad you didn't because I was coming so I think you walk out for a second, but it's under contract for $680. Oh, no. Yeah, that's what I said, contract $680. We only had a few people come because we didn't advertise. We had to advertise, and I'll show you. That's why no one comes. How many of you don't have anyone come to your open house? So wait 2 more classes, and I'll show you how to get them to come to your open house. Did you know open houses are more popular now than they've been for a long time? You know why they're so popular? Very still. Buyers want to window shop without signing a contract. But guess what? If you put the open house up on the MLS, who's seeing that? It's the agents that send out listing alerts, and that's it. So do agents ever want to take their buyers to open houses? They don't. So if you want people to come to your open house, not only does your house have to look good, so we're doing that right here. And the photography and all that has to be with the board. That's video. But it has to be sent out to your social media. I'll teach you how to do that next week, okay? We get about 50% of our buyers now, actually probably even more now, that come from social media advertising than just the MLS. And when I say MLS, you talk about syndicates too. We're talking Zillow, Roach.com, Halls. But we'll talk about that later. So here's this example right here. I mean, how many of these like downtown Salt Lake area and 9th and 9th or Barbara Yale, places where people really like to live, this style is really popular right now, right? What do we call this style? You should know your styles, by the way. This is where you should start. You should know what's in style and everything and what's to call it. Because when you give it a name and you tell people about this, they're like, oh, yeah, you're the pro. You know what you're talking about. I mean, we take our standard, we call it the stucco standard suburban home, and we turn it into a contemporary Balfour home. You know, when you say stuff like that to people, are like, oh, yeah, that's cool. And all we did is we put Orden batten and the Shevel or the shakers. So you have shakers and board and bat. Wait till I show you. When I get the house that I'm flipping right now, I'll bring a video with it. You can see it. But just the difference that we have literally neighbors stopping by and ask. I go to church on Sunday because I live in this neighborhood. I have like 10 people now asking me about what they want to do to their home. I'm actually getting business for people that aren't ready to sell their home, but they will sell it, but they want to help improve their home now. Can we do that? Can we hire you to do it? It happens, right? It cost us $9,000 on this one house to put all new board and batten and paint it with some shakers on this house. 9,000. Guess what when I ask people, what do you think that would cost? Guess what their thoughts are? $30 and $valid. It'd be between $20,000 or $30,000. Okay, so when I charge them $20,000, it'll just get yours. So, but what I'm saying is your ability to know how to do this and understand it will make you a better real estate agent. Guess what else it does for you? You can buy your own investment properties. How many of you run into investment properties all the time and you're like, oh, that could sell for so much more? If you got properties that even on a regular scale have $100,000 variance in value, is there not money to be made there? If you're not doing this on a regular basis, you're nuts. How are you going to retire? You should have rental properties and flips. Our goal is to do 2 to 3 every single year, if not more. Just with us, even with a full-time job, and I do part-time real estate, but I still do the flipping, and that it makes me relevant, but it also helps me make extra money. How many of you would like to make some extra money? The house that I'm flipping right now, I picked up for $700. I'm putting about $100 into it, and I'm putting it up for sale for $950. I'm going to make $100,000. You know how much good work I'm doing? Well, except for I'm deciding what needs to get done, and I have all these contractors would do it. Wouldn't it be nice to be in that kind of position to be able to do that? You can all do that. This is the professional development that you can learn through our courses that we have and what you're learning here. But you'll be surprised, like the gentleman asked back there, how much intuition you already have because of all the times you've been walking in and out of falls. Yes.
There are people that you do this work to them or made to work to them, and then they either don't want to sell or they want to back out.
Yeah. I've only had it one time. I've had several times where like, oh my gosh, this is so nice. But it should stay. But the thing is, if they decide to stay, have I not made a rating fan for life? And what does a rating fan need for your business? Girls, refer us. Is that all right?
Yeah.
I don't look short term. I look long term on those. If you want to build relationships, I promise you, making their house so irresistible they want to stay there is better than a whole year's worth of Crumbl cookies or whatever else we try to do to make people feel like we're awesome, right? So as you can see here, the only real big difference we did on this on the cosmetic side is we power wash. Look at the difference in the stone just by power washing it. We get all the dinginess, right? There's a few other things we had to do. We painted, and actually this was kind of broken up a little bit, so we had to change this out a little bit. Just some basic stuff. The trimming here, and this is just a plastic from Lowe's, those plastic carriers. So it's not like real stone or anything else. We didn't have to put a lot of money into it. New molds, trimming it out and stuff like that. And you could pop a color on the door. You can learn these trends on YouTube for free right now. Just spend the time to learn how to make curb appeal look great. And you can get some really great ideas. Why do we put color on a door on small house? Pop of color actually is recommended. We sent the screen door back to the 80s and changed a few other things, and it makes a huge difference, right? It costs a lot of money. I don't recommend doing this until you're ready and you know what you're doing and you know what the ROI is, because it really does matter in terms of where it's located and how other homes around it. Other homes, in terms of comparables, really impact that house. If you're the nicest home in a neighborhood, probably not a good thing, right? You want other homes, if it's an up and coming area. I love, like, if you buy properties out in 9th and 9th or the Avenues or something like that, you can sometimes pick up these really old homes if you want to do that and make a lot of money when you upgrade going. I don't do that so much anymore because every time you knock down a wall, there's 10 other things you have to end up doing. You know what I love doing right now? Like this flip that I have right now, the flip that I have is only a 20 or 15-year-old home, really nice home, a really nice neighborhood. The top neighborhood in this area. Unfinished basement, 2,000 square feet unfinished basement. It's like 1,890 square feet. I put a 3-bedroom, 2-bath with an entrance ADU into that. And then going through the city, and it wasn't hard to do it, it has its own separate address. So we put a mailbox in its own separate address. It's a 5-bedroom, 3-bath upstairs and a 3-bedroom, 2-bath downstairs that I pick up for $700. And I'm going to be able to sell for $915. Are there not deals even right now that you could get to flips? How many people feel like there's no deals out there? There's opportunities, but you have to be able to see them, right? And by the way, if you ever come across something out, sure, I have a lot of agents call me. I'll be happy to walk through with you because you need to learn how to do this. Yes.
So that usually costs to put a separate entrance in a basement if it doesn't have one.
It depends, right? If it's daylight, hardly anything. If it's not daylight, it costs more. So this one wasn't, and it cost us $14,000 to put that separate entrance in. But not only did I put the separate entrance in, I also have a walkway that goes all the way up to the front. Now, I had to look at other factors. They had the parking for it. They had a 2-car garage and then a 1-car garage, right? They could even put a separation with the main door that goes out. They go straight into it. They can even give the renter their own garage space. You know how much we can rent that place for? Over $2,000. It was like $2,100 a month because of those type of things. So every situation is a little different. Okay. Okay. Let's keep going.
So I guess it's a sales house. Yeah, they county.
With this, it's mid-century modern. Sorry, is mid-century modern popular right now? It's funny. Even like every now and then, I'll see like a blue velvet couch. It's like, hey, that's popular now. Yeah, again, it is. Believe it. Okay, next thing. Number 2, I got to get good. We already spent so much time. Number 2. So number 1 is curb appeal. The number 1 thing, the first thing everybody sees that gets them to want to look more is curb appeal. You got to do those things. So power washing the house, getting the lawn looking green and fresh. So like if I have to fertilize, I'll even tell them, let's get fertilizer on the lawn and let's turn on the sprinklers every day for the next 2 weeks. Yeah, you're going to pay an extra $100 or so. Sorry for the water service. But I have to do that. If the lawn's not green, it's going to make a big difference. It does. It makes a big difference. People judge the inside of the house by how the outside of the house was. Yes. You and how you paint the crap. Yeah, I was going to just say that. You can't. I have agents. We have agents in Nevada. No, not so much there because they're doing a lot of zero kicks in with Arizona, but some that don't, they'll paint and they do it here now. Did you know that? They will actually paint the grass for you and it doesn't cost much. We've had a lot of places we're taking some of the bad grass because they take care of it out and putting sod in and stuff like that. We do that all the time. It's totally worth it. How much does it cost the sod part of the yard? Like $400 sometimes. And the difference that makes is tremendous. But people, it's crazy. We think of the house and the structure as being all the value. But what do we see? It's the fine details. It's those little things. Literally, people will not buy a house because there's a red accent wall that they don't cut. You ever notice that? Or because the grass is all dead. Like, you can fix that, but they can't see past it. Same thing with empty spaces, which we'll talk about. But the next thing that's most important is smells. How many people, or how many homes should I say, smell? 100%. Most of them do. Why do they smell? Yeah. But here's the thing that's, now, I know I'm going to say this and you're laughing, but then no one's going to laugh at this. How many of you have gone on a vacation, left your house for like 5, 6, 7 days, come back and you're like, oh my gosh, what's that smell? Like, did we leave the garbage out? You know what that is? I hate to say it. It's not Brazilian. That's how your house is, yeah, all the time. You don't realize it because of why. That's what you imagine that your 5 senses, if you were inundated with every single smell, touch, sight, everything all the time, you would literally go crazy. You ever heard anybody that's really hyperattentive? You know, they have that, I forgot what the disease is called, but they can't turn it off. It drives them crazy. So our mind are really good at turning off what it's used to. So every house basically has a smell we don't know. And the reason it is here, because we don't do what we do in a lot of Scandinavian and other countries. I know they do it in Scandinavia, because you're out there. Even during the middle of the winter where it's freezing cold, 1 hour a day, they open all their windows. Did you know that? And they let the air come through and everything. How many of you have done that? What's the last time you've done that to your house? Good. I'm glad. A lot of people don't do that. Oh, that's great. But a lot of people don't. We like to live in our climate-controlled homes where we recycle the air over and over again. And we put filters in that say that it's going to help, but it doesn't sometimes. And that's just what happens. So getting smells out is what's important. You do not want to introduce new smells. So a lot of times agents will bake cookies and, put vanilla on the, so you've ever done that on the stove a little bit and add scents. How many of you go around spray Febreze all over the place and stuff like that? All that does is what? It doesn't mask it. It just adds to it. It really doesn't make it any better. So you want to get rid of the smells. And so how do you get rid of smells? If you're like me, so I grew up as a teenager in the 80s, okay? We had 6 kids in our family and we used baking soda every time we did our cleaning. We did about once a month. 6 of us in a small house. In those days, our homes were smaller than they are now, and it smelled that. So my mom would give us a box of baking soda. Have you ever done this before? We would sprinkle all the carpets and we would sprinkle all the furniture to this fabric. And then we would go back and document it all up and the house smelled wonderful. Baking soda is one of the best things out there. And what's sad nowadays is that you buy these more expensive cleaning products that if you look at the ingredients, vinegar, baking soda, and they charge you $12 for a little bottle. How much does a little box of baking soda cost? Exactly. So I have cleaners. I'm not going to do it. I don't clean their house for them. And I don't tell them to clean their house because if they, well, I do, but they're not going to get all the odors out. They're not going to clean it great. So I have cleaners that come in. I'm telling you, I'd never had one client. I've had them at first say, we'll clean it. I've never had one client by the time they're trying to get everything back that I prepare for you. He said, yeah, go ahead and bring your cleaner. They want that because it's hard to clean up a house and move it all like these. So baking soda, I teach my cleaners how to deodorize, not just clean. Most cleaners know how to clean, but they don't have deodorize. So I tell them all the fabric, all the carpet, everything needs sprinkled baking soda all over, right? To get the smell up. It works like it's a mirror. Now, in the smellier place, don't worry about the coffee grounds. I actually don't use the coffee grounds, but white vinegar and apple cider vinegar, those are really good in the smellier spaces. What are the more smellier spaces in your home? The bathrooms, the laundry, and yeah, the kitchen could be there, would be that way as well. You can put a bowl of vinegar, just put a bowl of vinegar in those places, and it will actually help to pull some of that air or the smell out of the air. You want to pull it out of the air. I know some of those sprays, they say you have the little cartoon things that eats up all the, smell. They don't. They just add smell to it. Now, there is one thing that will do that. It's called ozone generator, and I'll talk about that in just a second. Yeah, those can work really good. But these work great. Baking soda, white vinegar, apple cider vinegar in the kitchen. So you have your disposal in the kitchen. You know what actually smells in the kitchen a lot? The disposal. Why does your disposal smell? So does it? Well, you've been grinding food in there. I mean, how many of you have those preteens that forget to brush their teeth and they come and say, hi, mom and dad, and they almost knock you over? Well, imagine the teeth in that disposal, they're like teeth. And if they don't get cleaned regularly, they can smell. So how do you clean those out? Well, lemon works really good. So you slice up the lemon, put it in there, turn on the water, and just let the lemon and the peel and everything. I just weed the whole thing in, and then of course pull it out when they're done. That works really good. I've had some pull. If you have a refrigerator that has the little nugget ice, and you can put baking soda in there and let it boil a little bit, but make sure try it. Make it home. Or sorry, but good. And then those are really good for kind of taking out some of those basic smells. Yes.
So even house of assets to go and they had animals in it. No. Shop carvers, stuff.
Oh, these are worse. Yeah.
Actually get into a house of higher and they had a puppy around the
Yeah, copper grounds do work.
and we could not. I see the stains of it, smell it, but typically if there is an animal, just and so that first that's it.
For your very basic, just general smells, this works great. These type of things were pretty good. And then okay. And then like your key traps, you need to fill key traps out. It's in the book if you read about that. But when you get into the more serious smells, I'll talk about that next. You're pretty close. Sometimes you can't get them out, but I will tell you this: how many people want to live at someone else's? Nobody does. Some of my best investment properties have been smelling homes that are breeze, but they have 15 cats, so whatever it is, right? Even if they have cats or dogs, kids or whatever, people don't want to live in someone else's smell. They literally go in, it's not their dog smell, so they smell. They go into their house and it might be even smell worse, but they don't smell. You know what I'm saying? So that's the kind of thing that we're doing. So this will take care of all those kind of basic smells that are out. Yes.
As a listing agent, we often have pipe poppers, with or without furniture. And I make sure that I'm at property at least once a week to open
The door is what you're saying, and
Yeah.
clear it out.
Let the air come in, yeah.
Because they're not getting opened.
Yeah.
That's part of what my commitment is to those sellers.
Yeah.
I will turn up and do that to control that.
Yeah. And if people don't live in homes, how many of you go and flush the toilets or turn on the water because of the P-traps? You know what a P-trap is? It should be called a U-trap because it looks like a U. I think they call it the P-trap because it takes the P smells out, if you know what I mean. So because where does that go to? Where does the end of that pipe go? To the sewer. So the only thing that's keeping the sewer smell from getting in the house is literally water that's sitting there. It only takes about 3 weeks for that water to dry out. So that's why you want to keep that P-trap full. I actually use, yes?
If you work new construction at all,
Yeah.
learn
You learn about that.
All your homes, once a week, you turn on all the water.
Yeah.
fill up the feature.
And I know this is going to sound bad. It is biodegradable, but did you know the RV, when you winterize an RV, you know the RV fluid that you can put in there? I actually use the RV fluid and put it in there because then it lasts for months. It doesn't evaporate like water does. And then you can also use other, like if you use like a 1/4 cup of baby oil or canola, you know, like baking oil or something like that, you can fill up the P-trap and then put a little bit of that oil and it creates kind of a top so that it doesn't evaporate as quick. So there's some secrets you can do that. So you don't have to go every week to all your properties. I've taught builders how to do that so that they don't have to have people keep going all the time. Because it's the worst thing ever when people walk into a brand new home and they think, oh wow, they must have tapped into the sewer. And that's what people think. They don't know what's causing that. Where else do you have those bad smells? In your laundry room. Did you know on the floor you have a drain? How often does water get there? Now sometimes there's a P-trap that goes before it goes out, you know, the house. But if there's a smell in there, it might not be the dirty clothes. And then what else do you have in terms of drains in your laundry room? Your washing machine drain. And if nothing's getting put down there, plus in that washing machine, that gray water that goes down, so to speak, it can get stuff caked on it, right? So if you put bleach down there, you can do that, or apple cider vinegar works really good. Just put it down there on a regular basis. Even in your utility room, where you have where the AC gets drained, you can do that there. And how many of you, like in the East Coast where we have properties out there because it's more humid, we put every single month when we change out the air filter, we put a scoop of Clorox down where the drain for the AC goes to keep that from getting all yucky and stuff like that, moldy. Right? Mold, that mold smell happens a lot of times when they have things that stay wet, you know, and things like that, mildewy, that aren't necessarily bad mold, but it just gives you that mildewy smell, okay? I got to keep going. There's so many different things you can do on those basic things, but on the really bad smells, what's the worst smell in a house that you can have? Cat is the worst. Did you know that? Cat's the worst. If they don't change out the litter box, cats know it's the worst too. Did you know that cats are the easiest to potty train? They will literally, from a small kitten, go immediately to a litter box. Why do they do that? Because they know it smells. They hate it. So cats are actually really good. If their litter box is not cleaned, guess what they do? They find another place. But they'll stay there until that place smells bad. Then they'll go somewhere else, and then they'll stay there. That's what they do. To try to get those smells out is nearly impossible. There's some enzyme things that can break it up, but I love kills if it's really bad. You have to take everything out that's porous. I've actually had this in a house where we took everything out, like the carpets, everything that's fabric. We kills the whole thing, the whole house. Everything, up, down, everywhere, walls. You even have to do it on the cement. Did you know cement is porous? You know, subfloors are porous, so it does that. Then I can repaint it and put it on. I have to take the countertops out a lot of times and put new ones in, but the cabinets even need to be killed I guess. Yes?
I did have one home that had significant animal damage through carpet, and they washed the carpet, and the smell was even worse.
Even worse.
And the reason was that the urine delaminated the subfloor, so they had to replace the subfloor. You couldn't even kill it.
Really?
Because it delaminated the subfloor.
Wow. Usually the oil-based kills can cover anything, but I didn't know that.
If the wood in the subfloor is not sturdy,
Yeah.
it wasn't the.
Oh, okay. It was because it had actually rotted it out.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's bad. Yeah, when it's that much, that's really bad. And it can get into ductwork too and stuff like that. I don't want to get into all these details because we got to keep going, but I just wanted you to know that there are some ways. There's also an ozone generator. Have you ever heard of an ozone generator? It actually puts a third oxygen molecule into the air. It is dangerous, so you have to know how to use it. You can buy them off of Amazon for like $50. And I've used them all the time. You close them in a room, right? And then let that go for like 20 minutes, come back in a couple of hours, few hours. Make sure you cover, you know, your face. Exactly, yeah. So make sure you know what you're doing, but it can take smells out really well.
Something on that real quick.
Uh-huh.
If you're doing that in the basement, you're probably not going to get real good ventilation out. So you better have a couple fans, like a high volume fan or two, to help push that out, because it'll just stay.
Just linger there. That's good.
That's the problem. You don't want to set yourself up for.
Yeah, yeah. And it has a kind of a sanitary smell to it. Yeah, you can kind of smell that. Yeah,
Just a FYI,
yeah.
ozone is triatomic oxygen that has a 22-minute half-life. So after 22 minutes, one particle drops off and it's regular O2.
Yeah.
You still do have a smell.
Yeah,
It's not
but it's
ozone.
not gonna. Yeah, it's not ozone. It's not gonna make it dangerous. Yeah, I would think that if it was really that dangerous, you would have to have a license or something to use it. So I think that's probably the case. But it works really well, and it works good for cars and stuff like that too. So it's a good one to have. You can buy them for $30 off Amazon. You can get the commercial sized ones, just rent them out if it's for a bigger space. But I'll usually start there before I do anything more extreme. And then I also have one of my strategic partners, or not really strategic because I don't use them that often, but they're a partner, is a disaster professional company that can take care of the really serious things.
So I had to use one of those guys, a remediation company. He had to come in and positively pressurize the house, use the ozone and everything, and then sprayed something that helps seal all the smells and
Yeah.
everything inside of all of the nooks and crannies.
Yeah, and it works really good, especially if I use Kills. You can still, like, we've had chain smokers, and you can walk by the outside of the house because you don't have to take down all the walls and the insulation because it gets into that, but you Kills it and then you repaint it, but you walk along the outside of the house, you can smell that smoke because it's trapping it outside.
But they all try to tell you you're supposed to wash the walls and the ceilings like 3 times before you kills the walls.
Uh-huh.
We didn't do that. Like, we kept most of the sheetrock in this house.
Yeah, I do that too.
Just painted it.
Yeah.
And it was fine.
Yeah.
It was like, tested the walls, we didn't get any of the
Yeah.
smell coming through.
That's what we do as well. Okay, let's go on to the next one so we can get through all this. Is this good information? Is this helpful to learn these things? Okay. As far as cleaning goes too, if you want to clean a shower, how many of you have tried to get the hard water off of a shower and you use Lime Away and all sorts of different things? You know what works best for getting off of glass, that hard water? Vinegar does work, but there's something that works.
Vinegar, dish soap, and water mixture.
That does work well, but you know what I found works the very best? Toilet bowl cleaner. You know that blue toilet bowl cleaner? Well, I don't, is it, yeah, I guess that would be the brand, yeah. That blue, make sure you use gloves. That stuff works like a dream. It works really good. Anyway, I got to keep going, sorry. Hard water stains on glass, like in the shower. Like I don't want, one thing you notice when you go into a shower and you feel like I need to replace the thing because mainly the glass you just cannot get that hard water off. But that blue, the blue toilet bowl cleaner actually works really good. Okay, I had one of the cleaners teach me that and it works awesome. Okay, number 3 on the list is adding light and removing clutter. Okay, so you want to make sure that your homes look open and full of light. We're down here where there's a lot of unnatural light, right? But in most spaces, we hopefully have lots of natural light coming in. But what we do when we live in homes is we want privacy. So what do we put up on our windows? Tons of curtains and stuff. Guess what those curtains hold a lot of? The smell. Yeah. And so we actually, I tell them if they like their curtains, good, because we don't want them in the pictures because then we have to deal with an exclusion, and just take them off, pack them up. Because I'm going to tell you next on the decluttering side that they're going to pack most of their stuff. So if they like their curtains, I tell them to take them down. I'm all right. A lot of the homes that we sell, even staged and look really nice, even though their curtains might be nice, they'll just have a rod up there. I tell them to leave the rod unless it's so old-fashioned or so bad out of style that we take it off. Because if they take it off, then they're going to have to patch it up and paint and all that kind of stuff. So usually I'll have them leave that there, but all the curtains go. 95% of the time, I'm just making that number up, but most of the time, the curtains, they don't want them anyway. And so if they don't want them, who else doesn't want them? Someone to buy them. Plus they smell. So we just give them away or they throw them away. So that's what I mean by letting the light in. Even if you have really nice plantation shutters, I'll keep the shutters, the plantation ones, the nice ones, but we'll roll them up, make sure that all the natural light gets in. Natural light looks so much better than artificial light, okay? But if it's the vinyl window, like we always think that do you have to provide your buyers with window coverings? Is there any law that says that? So I don't know why I've had some agents say, well, I've got to leave them all up there. No, you do not. Take them all off. Unless they're really nice, then you have to get them cleaned, so the cleaner has to clean them. You know how much time it takes to clean each one of those? How often do you think the owners clean them? Never. Exactly. And does it show? Yes. It does. It makes a big difference. So typically we're taking everything off to let the natural light in. Then we're going to have them remove the stuff that they don't need in their house. Okay, I smile when I say that because we are really good in this country buying things, collecting things. Remember during COVID and people would have in their front door 50 Amazon boxes and all that kind of stuff? We are just great at buying stuff. What are we not very good at? Getting rid of it. Almost every home has way too much stuff in it. There's a sweet spot, just so you know, and this is what I tell my clients. There's a sweet spot between too much stuff and not enough stuff. We want to hit the sweet spot. And I tell them the way we live in homes is different than the way they need to be showcased for sale. So if you're going to stay in this house, you're going to be living in a model home. You're not going to be living in a typical home that you normally live in. I know you love your home the way that it is, but everybody needs to see it that's going to come into it and how they're going to live in this home, not how you live in this house. They have to understand that you're doing this for the buyer, not for the seller. And as long as you let them know that, that's why I teach my clients, I'm going to help you flip your home into bigger profits. I want you to take yourself outside of this space where this is your beautiful home, just the way it is. And I want you to start thinking, if you bought this house and it wasn't yours, what would you do to it to sell it to make the most money for it? And as soon as they make that shift, the light bulb goes on and they realize, oh yeah, we need to do some things to this house to get it decluttered and stuff. When I come back with their listing report, I bring a roll of painter's tape because it, doesn't stick and take off paint and stuff like that. And I walk through the house with them and I put tape on, guess what, if they're going to live there? Guess what I put tape on?
Everything.
Not what they get rid of.
The only thing they keep.
What they keep.
Good idea.
Yeah. Because you know how much tape I have to use for what they keep? Not much.
Yeah.
Everything else goes. And I tell them, do you want to make the most money? And I keep repeating this. Do you want to make the most money for your house? Yes. Do you want it to sell quickly? Yes. Then you no longer live in your house as your house. You are now living in a showroom. And if you don't like that, then you need to go find another place to live if you want the most money for your house. I don't say it in a mean way. I just say if you want to make the most money for their house. Because they're not doing this for me. Who are they doing it for?
Themselves.
Them, to make the most money for their house. You had a comment?
Yeah, I got a family, cute little family. They had professional pictures done. They want them up
Yeah.
all over. What's your thoughts on that? And also very political or religious.
Oh yeah, like great. Do you want to make the most money for your house? Do you want to offend anybody that walks into your house? Do you want all these, this is the thing I love about these family pictures and personal stuff. I tell them, I'm going to bring in, because they got sold on this, because I don't do this until after we are signed. It's the week later when I bring the listing report. So when I come in, I'm no longer trying to pitch them. I'm not trying to sell them. I'm teaching them, and I'm doing it with the signed agreement in place. So I can be a little bit more, direct. That's a good word, direct.
I think as you're doing this stuff too, even with the pictures and all of that, it just helps the seller emotionally unattached from the home. So
Yeah,
that they can
it
start
certainly
seeing it
does.
from like a business transaction
Yeah.
rather than a,
Yeah.
you know.
But instead of getting into a long explanation, guess what I tell them? I'm bringing in an 8K resolution camera, and we are going to scan this whole house, and we're going to put it out there for the whole world to see. That's what I tell them. It's crazy. All I have to do is say that to them. As soon as I say that, guess what they think? It's almost like, imagine if you have like the most important person that you revere coming into your house. What are you going to do to your house? Yeah, it's going to be really nice. Now you're saying all my kids' pictures up on the wall, the whole world is going to see those pictures, right? They don't want to have them. They don't want them to see those pictures. So usually that's all I have to say. I bring in a professional photographer, videographer, and a 360 camera. Remember all those cool things we're going to do for your home? Could you imagine having those Oculus goggles on, walking through your house, and there's your kids' pictures, right? You could say that, and for the whole world to see. They're like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, we'll take them down. It no longer becomes about how nice they like their pictures, because it's not about them anymore. It's about who's going to buy their property, okay? So I have to show them pictures, and this is really important. Even when I go back, I show them pictures to remind them, this is how we live in a home. There's nothing wrong with the way we live in a house. Is there anything wrong with this right here? Is this how we live in homes? Is it going to sell for the most money? Will this sell better? And I show them the picture, and they're like, oh, did you know that everything here, we'll do here's a Where's Waldo thing. What's the difference between these two? What did we do to make that room look like this room? How did we lighten it up? We did paint in this because it was a 30-year-old house, so we did have them repaint because it was old yellow. And when they took out, if you ever noticed especially when you have other window light coming in and it's all different, that the walls are no longer one color. They're like 5 different shades of that color because it needs to be painted. So we did convince them to paint. I have a painter that comes in, does a really quick job. They can get it done in a day, you know, for even a whole house, and it doesn't cost nearly as much as it's going to cost them if their house doesn't sell for what they want to sell it for, okay? So we have them come in. This is their furniture. It looks lighter, doesn't it? Even during the kind of the same time of the day, because we took off all the curtains and all the coverings. It makes a difference, right? There's a lot less furniture. We took all of their throw pillows out because they were old and ugly and smelly. I didn't tell them that, but that's the reason we keep it. We put some new ones in there. It's more minimized, all the extra furniture. Why is the piano no longer there? It makes the space look smaller to try to keep that in there, and they're not selling. I asked them, are you going to sell the piano with this? Because they loved that piano. They thought, well, yeah, that's a really nice piano. People are going to like it. Are you selling the piano? No. Then it needs to go. And it also gets in the way of going out through the really nice French doors. Do you think people, when they walk through a house and they see these great French doors right here going out to the outside, that they're not going to want to do that? Right? So if you have the piano's in the way, it's not going to help. And all these plants and flowers, these are all fake, because I don't want to have to go back and water them all the time, but they bring pops of color in. You'll learn how to do this. If you go onto YouTube and say how to stage a home with existing furniture, there's probably 1,000 videos from real estate agents all around the country that will give you tips and tricks on how to do that. So learn how to do it, because if you can do this, guess what's going to happen to your business? It's going to flourish, because this is tangible evidence of your value. If every one of your homes looks amazing and you keep putting out all these amazing homes with all the advertising that I'm going to teach you next week, that's the only advertising you ever need to do for your business. Because people aren't hiring an agent that has extra services that they don't know what that means. They're hiring an agent that gets them the most money for their house, and to them, the tangible evidence of that is how nice these homes look. You be the agent that has a beautiful home. Every time you put advertisements out there, guess who they're going to want to hire? You. So this is what you're doing, is you're teaching them how to turn this, which is fine to live in, but it's not a good advertisement, into this. Or if it's a home that looks like, how many homes look like this? There's that blue velvet couch there, right? How many homes look like this that ask you to sell their house? Is that furniture bad furniture? No. But it's from the 80s, right? This is IKEA furniture that's not worth near as much as that furniture. I can tell you that because this thing weighed like 350 pounds. It was solid wood. But when people walk into the house, what are they thinking? It's old. What do I got to do to update it? And you know what's making it old? Mostly the furniture. So you come in here, we took out the mirrors because in the 70s and 80s, we wanted to see ourselves wherever we went. You know, you remember that? The mirrors everywhere. The closets had mirrors. Sometimes above the bed had mirrors. It was crazy. It's like we had to have mirrors everywhere. So we took out a lot of mirrors, right? So, and then we put in this kind of furniture. What does this furniture do here? It gives them an idea of what they could do without it being, you know, nice furniture, but it makes the space look better. We did take up the carpet. It wasn't too bad of a carpet, but what do we find sometimes in a lot of these older homes? Beautiful hardwood floors. It cost us $3,600, right, to refinish the hardwood floors that were there. So we did that. It doesn't always happen that way, but we did in this property. Can you see, I mean, if you were to bring clients in and you saw this house, compared to if you brought them in to see this house, would that be a difference in their interest, do you think, in that property? And literally, we spent $3,600 plus the staging for that, in that room, in that space. So this house right here without furniture, how many times have you walked into a place that doesn't have any furniture? You can't, especially with our open floor plans, which is really popular right now, can't get a sense of the space. And then if it doesn't have an open floor plan and it's more of these compartmented, you know, type of, you know, rooms and stuff like that, they look way too small. Oh, I want an open floor plan. Then they get an open floor plan and they're like, how am I supposed to eat and visit and cook and everything in this space right here? So it sits there. Do you see a difference between those two? By the way, this is staged. That's a plastic TV. It's not a real TV. We did, because when I look at spaces and I see things that make it look dated, of course, there's all the old blinds, the dirty blinds, vinyl. They all came out. We put in, these are just Lowe's, you know, you can get them measured and put them in. They're not that expensive. They're the faux wood, not the real wood, right? So not real plantation. We have this all staged that's here. The throw rugs really separate the space. This, we went to Lumber Liquidators. You've probably heard of them, to get the floating floor in there. We were able to get this floor for like $1.99 a square foot because it was extra, that they had, but it fit in the space. What I'm saying is you can do this affordably if you know how to put it all together and you know how to have this vision of what can be done. Guess where your value goes after this, right? Now, someone asked, I think it was you back there, how do we do this when we don't know? Well, you are so lucky to be alive today, right? For many reasons. You know what one reason is? AI. I can't tell you how many times I've just gone in. I don't have to worry about it anymore. I go in there. I have 3 different apps that I use. One for the exterior, 2 for the interior. And most all apps do it now, even Houzz and places like that. I can take a picture of a room. It tells me which style I want to choose from. I pick it and it furnishes it right there. And I can show it to them right then. And I do that. You know how impressive that is? To do that. They think it's my special tool or something. I don't say I use this app or whatever. I just take a picture while I'm in there and then I pick a style and I say, yeah, we're going to try to do something like this to your house. You know how impressive that is? And you can do that now. I've even done it with the outside of homes. You know that mountain home that I'm telling you about, that I've told you about? I was in a house. It was a $1.4 million property they wanted to sell. They had another agent, it expired, and they didn't know what to do because it wasn't selling. You went, and the outside was just stucco. It looked like a gingerbread house from the outside, and inside it looked amazing. It was that color of gingerbread brown, ugly as could be on the outside. And it just was weird. I took a picture of the outside with this app that I have, and I showed it to, I actually did it on my computer when I did it this time. I just uploaded it to the computer and showed it to them so they could see it big. It put all this dark board and batten. You know what board and batten is, right? What that is? And so it had the board and batten across the top, and then it went. It was crazy awesome. When they saw that, they couldn't believe it. Like, we could do this to our, no wonder our house didn't sell. This is the kind of house I would buy, is what they're thinking. And then they wanted to know about how much it would cost, and I've done it enough time. We can do this for about $15,000. They could not believe it. And their house was worth 1.6. So I use apps like that, and I'll share them with you in school if you want to know what those apps are. But I use that. Yes.
When you're estimating for like outside, because that just seems so out of my range.
Yeah.
How do you just get a relationship with a contractor?
Yeah. You have a contractor come and do it.
Okay.
I have a guy. I would share him with you, and I don't mind. His name is Jorge. He only speaks Spanish. And so you have to be able to speak Spanish, and I was lucky enough to be able to learn how to speak Spanish. This guy, literally, I can have him come. It's crazy. The way they throw the shakers up and stuff, and he catches them, puts them up there. He literally does the whole front of the house. We had this big 5,200 square foot house, the one I'll show you later. They did it all in 1.5 days. Like the whole thing, and then they painted it the other half day. It was done in like 2. How long do you think it took, Jeff? Do you remember? It was like 2 days, and it was all done. So, and they charge, good. So you have to build those relationships. Yeah. Okay.
But that would just be an exterior person.
Yeah. Yeah, you have a person that does just that, yeah. So I have a guy that does mudding and taping. I have a guy that does, and texture. Have a guy that does painting. Usually you want the people that specialize in that one thing that they do. And I don't hire companies to do it because they charge way too much money for it. Yeah.
Your prices seem very good.
They're good because I use them enough, and they love that when I do it. And many of them have a full-time job, and they come and do it on the weekends.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
And
okay.
they're contracted essentially through your LLC.
Yeah, I hire them. Yeah. So so instead of saying you pay the contractor and then they have to coordinate everything, especially when you have to do a lot of things, they just pay me. I give them a full amount they want to pay. In almost every case, like the one in Orem, they did everything except for they didn't want to change out the railing that we were going to have them do, but they did all the other things we suggested. But we take care of the payment for that. Okay.
They just get one payment from them.
They just get one payment. They just write a check.
General.
Yeah, or pay for a credit card. Was there another question? Okay, so I've got 10 minutes to share this story with you. And then if you have the book, you can follow through. There's some more ideas there. If you go onto our school site, if you haven't been there, it's SKOOL/Captivate-Agent. There are courses in there. There's this course in there, and you can watch the video if you want to watch it. And it has some more details in it without all my stories, so it goes by a little bit faster. But take advantage of learning how to do this. If you can learn how to do this, you'll do so much better. So this is a real story. This is from a while back. Maybe should I share a different one? I'll share this one. This was like 10 years ago though. But this kind of stuff happens all the time. But since I have a picture, I'll show it to you. We had a property in Boise, Idaho. So I have properties in different places that we've lived and stuff like that, as well as properties we like. I love university properties by universities because I can rent them out by room, stuff like that. So we had one right by Boise State. We have a couple here by UVU and BYU. So with this particular property, it was built when I was born, 67. Can you believe it? It's that old, right? And we updated it and the market crashed. We were 110,000, we figured, below or underwater. And anybody have that happen back in 2008? We had 7 of those properties. Now, a lot of my friends and others were like, oh, we're bankruptcy, what are we going to do? That was the epiphany that hit me at the time. I should be renting. So I sold 3, I think, and I rented out 4 of those properties. I wish I had never sold any of those properties and just rented them out because of how much money you can make over time. And we'll have another class on that if you'd like, but I have I have a whole strategy of how I do that. But anyway, with this property, we had rented it out for 9 years and then I was going to sell it. Now, when you have renters in your property for 9 years, what's that house going to be like? I love to say that because that's what everybody thinks and that's why they don't do rentals. It wasn't that bad. And what it needed was cosmetic. And you know how much money I made all that time? You know how much that house increased in value? It was even after the crash, by the way. What happens after the crash was like 2 years where it was not so great. And then what did it do? Oh, it was like a rocket the way it shot up, right? So 9 years into this house, it's in Boise. We decided to sell it because that's part of my strategy. If you listen to Bigger Pockets, you can get a lot of good ideas from them, but we decided to go ahead and sell it. So what I did, that's why the story's kind of good, is I called 5 agents, and I hadn't lived in Boise for 9 years because we had moved to Salt Lake area. So I went back there. We had renters in that property, but I'd already talked to them about moving out. You never, ever sell a house with renters in it, by the way. Ever, ever, if you want to make the most money for it. Unless it's a huge complex and they're wanting to buy, because usually what are you going to do as the new owner of a property? Improve it, and then get more rent. Whenever you buy a rental property from someone that's had it for a while, they never charge enough rent. So you want new renters in anyway. And then it doesn't show well. There's all these reasons. But anyway, yeah.
Don't buy a house with a renter in it.
Yeah, exactly, because you might not get them out. Yeah, exactly. So I called 5 agents, basically out of the phone book or, at the time or online, I'm sure I looked, whatever. One of them was the #1 agent in Boise. I love it how agents say that. #1 based on what? Do we have some sort of rating system? She's on the billboards, #1. So I decided I had to call her because she was all over the place. And then I called these other agents. I actually talked to one agent that I called her up and I said, I have a house that I'm trying to sell, and I explained the area, and she's great, and I'd love for you to come and show me what you can do to help me sell the house. She literally asked me, do you have other agents coming to, pitch to you or whatever she said. And I said, yeah, I have other agents. Okay, I'm not interested. She told me she's not interested. And she never showed up. Yeah. I guess she had enough business. She didn't need my business. Crazy, isn't it? I guess her presentation isn't strong enough that she knows she's going to win. Exactly. It's like, I have a presentation I can show you. So I didn't tell the agents what I did. I wasn't licensed in Boise at the time, of course, because I had moved here. So I didn't have to, disclose that I'm an agent here. It doesn't matter. But I did this as part of the R&D for this course. So I had these agents come in. The first agent that came in was the #1 agent in Boise. And she came in with her white Jaguar and her high heels and everything. I hate to say it like that because it makes it sound really bad. Now it's Tesla. Before it was Jaguar. So she came up and she was very confident, very, very confident. I hated her. Sorry. I don't know why. She's an older lady, comes in, but she was just kind of pompous, I guess. Yeah. And so she comes into the house and she didn't even tour the house. She comes right in, she sits down, she gives me her packet that she had that talked about what mostly? Her and her team. Right? It wasn't, but she did have a CMA that she withheld until she gave it to me. But she spent all this time. She didn't tour my house or anything. Remember we talked about how important that is? So the whole time I'm thinking like, I don't like you, right? Whereas if she would have toured the home and asked me questions, remember how we talked about this last week? It would have made a big difference, but she didn't. And she told me my house was worth $300,000, right? And I was like, no, it's not. I know it's worth a lot more. But am I going to tell her that if I don't have trust built with her? No, I just I just listened to her. The other agents came in. There were 3 other agents that came. 2 of them were super nice ladies. I mean, and they were all ladies, by the way, nothing against the gentlemen here. It just happened to work out that way. I don't know why. anyway, so these other two ladies come in super nice. They were more lone rangers, you know what I mean? They worked on their own, where the first one, she had a whole team. And she pretty much let me know, even she didn't say it explicitly, but it was pretty much known from what she explained. I wasn't going to see her until maybe the closing table, because she had everybody that did their job. And she explained that. I have my marketing person, the sign person, the open house person, everything like that, right? These others, they did tours. One did a pretty good tour. The other one was a little bit short. But in the house, my renters still lived there. They hadn't moved out yet. So what's the furniture look like in the house? It's not great, because our renter's going to buy really great furniture. This was a big house with a half-an-acre lot. It was a house that we had to keep when we were intending to flip it, but we ended up having to rent it. But it rented just fine. And so, you know, the furniture doesn't look good. Nothing looked great in the house after 9 years. It wasn't that it was bad, but the grass was pretty much dead. All the flower beds were pretty much dead. Why is that the case with a renter? Why are they going to do it? Like, you know, they want a nice house and everything, but it wasn't great. It was all right, but it wasn't great, right? I spent $13,000 to kind of make this story shorter. $13,200 to remodel the home. But I sold it for $455,000. So I got 4 CMAs from these agents. They gave me their CMA. It was between $300 and $350 in value. I sold it for $455,000. Do that by putting $13,000 into it. Right? How does that happen? I even have agents that when I teach this, they're like, well, what about the appraiser? Do you know the appraiser is just as subjective of what they do, right, as you are or as a buyer is? So guess what it appraised for? $455,000. No, I think it actually appraised for $5,000 more in this case. It actually appraised for like $460,000. Yeah. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is that this works. It does work, and you can make more money for your home, because if you believe that there is a range of value, and when you're talking about homes that are worth right now, on average in Utah, almost $600,000, right? That range is usually within $100,000, sometimes even more than that, depending on the condition of the property. And the biggest ROI from all of these things always comes from staging, right? But that's including the decluttering. The one thing that turns people off immediately is curb appeal and smell. So if you can put those 4 things together, and it's really in that order that I work with them, because that's the first thing they see is curb appeal. Then they notice the smell. Then they notice the clutter. And then they notice empty rooms if they're empty rooms or if it's not staged. And if you can put all those pieces together for your clients, and then next week, I'll tell you about all the advertising that you do and how to put that together and advertise it. You will sell more homes. You'll sell them faster, and those homes will create more business for you. Get to the point now that you're doing 2 to 3 homes every single month, and you're turning people down when they don't want to cooperate with what you're doing. And you don't turn them down, you give them to another agent as a referral. And I love doing that, because I don't even have to work for those, right? I know that sounds bad to say it that way, but that's the way it is. So I hope what I taught you today was helpful in terms of helping get homes ready to sell. Next week, when we go through the advertising piece of it, please believe me, if your houses don't look good, if they don't smell good, I don't care how good your advertisements are, right? You just can't advertise a property and get people excited about it, no matter how much good technology and methods you use of advertising. We have an advertising formula that I'll teach you. If the house doesn't look good, you have to convince your sellers that they're going to make more money and sell their home faster by you getting them ready to sell their home, okay? Now, don't bug out because you got free lunch coming, but I'm ending about 10 minutes now, because we have a really awesome presentation by 2 professionals right here that have they're agents, but they're also, have you ever heard of like Myers-Briggs or the DISC personality? There's also one that's based on color. And I remember going through it. Sorry, I forgot what it's called again. The color code. Yeah, thank you. Sorry, the color code. Your ability to convince people to do things that you know are good for them, and they know it too, but they sometimes don't quite trust your intentions. Understanding their personality, understanding how they need to be approached and how you need to interact with them so that they see you as a trusted advisor and consultant is critical in closing deals. To me, there's no better way to be a good salesperson than putting the onus on you to understand them and putting them before yourself. Most sales coaching programs and pitches are about what? You convincing another person of what you're trying to sell them. You're pushing them into hopefully something. And we push and push and push. How many people like pushy salespeople? Nobody does. So when you understand how they will respond, because everybody's a little bit different, and the color code will help you understand that. Listen to what they have to say, because this is another personal development or professional development thing that you should go through to be better at what you do. Because if you can't convince people to do stuff like this, then it's all for nothing, right? You have to be able to give people that confidence that what you're doing is in their best interest. And you can't do that if you don't know them and what kind of personality they have and how they're going to respond to what you have to say. So come on up.